Hey guys, and welcome to FaithWorks Designs. I'm Faith, and today I am very excited to show you the latest sew along from K&A Custom Fabrics. Now, before I get 20 messages, where do I find the pattern, where is it at, how do I purchase it? Everything's going to be in the description box down below. However, it's not released just yet. I know, I'm sorry. I had to get this video out early, so just bear with me. It's worth the wait, you guys. It's worth the wait. So, are there any serious Harry Potter fans out there? Sorry, I just had to. Okay, so Kim and Alex, and I hope this ring light isn't going to mess it up, and I think it is. They wanted to do some lenticular designs on some of the bags for the Harry Potter round. And this one, they did serious, and I don't know if you can see them or not. Hang on. Let's see if out of the bag, if you guys can see the design. I think it's so cool, and it's so much cooler in person. So let's take a look at the bag. Alright, so if you guys have made the Gameboy bags, it's the Gameboy bag. However, there had been a few little changes. So we've got your window so that you can see your lenticular design, and you've got your slip pocket on the inside so that you can put your lenticular design in there. I'm hoping that Kim and Alex are going to make some more. So if you want to see more lenticular designs, make sure that you buy these patterns. There are two that are going to be out. I just saw it the other day, and it's really cool. But make sure that you tell them on their page, bring more lenticular designs. So it's pretty basic. We're doing a book bag today. There are pieces in the pattern that you can make a sling if you would rather have a sling. There is the video for the Game Boys. I'll put a picture here. There's two options. So there's a book bag option and there's a sling option. On the inside, it's very, very plain because we're trying to keep this price affordable. So there's nothing on the back, but on the front, you've got yourself a nice little slip pocket so that you can put that lenticular design on the inside. This is a really super fast sew, so I hope you guys like it. Let's get started. Alright, so we have got our wanted sew along. It comes in a roll, just like this, because Kim and Alex know you're supposed to roll vinyl. You're going to get your outer panel that has all of your pieces for your outer of your bag, and then you're going to get your lining. The inside is going to be waterproof canvas. You can iron this. Don't sit in one place too long, but just kind of like, you know, mine was really wrinkly when I took it out, and I just ironed it really quickly. So just, you know, run an iron over it. I wouldn't steam it, but you can iron their waterproof canvas. And I have also tested this waterproof canvas several times out in the rain when I wore one of my bags. So whatever you have on the inside of your bag, it's going to be good and protected. Okay, first things you need to do is you need to cut out your outer panel pieces. You're going to be taking these pieces and using them as a template to cut your lining, because remember, your lining is off just slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these out. I will give you the measurements for the slip pocket, and then we'll get started on the construction. Alright, so let's go over the pieces and the hardware really quickly. So your zipper gusset is going to be 1 1/4 wide by 19 inches long. You're also going to need some zipper tape at the same length. You got your D-ring connectors are going to be 2 inches by 3 inches. Then you got your bottom gusset. It is going to be 2.5 inches wide by 14 1/4 long. You're going to have your slip pocket. It's going to be 8 inches wide by 6 tall. You're going to have your back panel with your back panel lining. That's going to measure 10 inches tall by 8 inches wide. You're going to have your very front panel, and that's going to measure 11 inches tall by 8.5 inches wide. All of my pieces I went ahead and interfaced at 1/4 inch shorter all the way around. Depending upon which material you get, you need to use the appropriate interfacing. Alright, let's talk hardware. We're going to need 2 1-inch D-rings, 2 1-inch strap adjusters, some 45 to 50 inch in length webbing. I'm using obviously 1 inch for all of my 1-inch hardware. It depends on what size you want your book bag to be. I think I'm going to do 55 inches today, just in case, because some of my customers seem to always be adults. So your straps can range anywhere from 45 to 55 to 60 inches. It just depends on the customer that you're making it for. And lastly, you're going to need 2 number 5 zipper pulls if you use number 5 zipper tape. Alright, we're going to start with the easiest thing, and that is going to be the zipper gusset. So we're going to do all the hard stuff later. Let's go ahead and just do the zipper. Alright, so we're going to take our outer zipper gusset panel, take our zipper right side to right side, and clip them together all the way down. Once you're done clipping that together, you can take it to the sewing machine and base stitch it down if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and take my lining right side to the wrong side of my zipper and add that to my little zipper sandwich. And we're going to clip those two all together all the way down. We're going to take this to the sewing machine and sew them together. Alright, for some reason you guys are right in my face this morning. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, now we're going to sew at 1/4 inch to sew our zipper sandwich together. I have a 3 stitch length, and you're just going to sew all the way down. Alright, as usual, we're going to take our lining and our outer panel and pull them away from our zipper. We're going to base stitch down the sides. I am changing my stitch length to a 4, and then 1/8 inch. I'm just going to go all the way around my outer and lining zipper gusset. Alright, so we've got one side done. Now we need to do the exact same thing to the other side. So grabbing your outer panel, right side to the right side of your zipper, and clip all the way down. Alright, now we're going to take the other lining, put it right side to the wrong side of our zipper. Take that to the sewing machine, and let's sew those together just like we did on the other side. Alright, so I have got a 3 stitch length, and I am sewing at 1/4 inch, just like I did on the other side. Again, we're going to base stitch down the sides and then down the zipper. Or top stitch down the zipper, sorry. Alright, now that our zipper gusset is sewn together, we're going to grab our zippers and add our zippers. I always like to leave my zippers to last and not put them on ahead of time, because it makes my zippers lay so much straighter when I'm trying to sew everything. Alright, left side first, then your right side. It's hard enough to try and drive straight, much less having your zipper be wobbly because of the zipper pulls. Alright, now down the other side. You don't have to add 2 zippers. It's just something I like to do. It makes it centered and just makes everything look nicer. Alright, so you want your zippers to face like that. Next thing we're going to do is grab the bottom gusset. So we've got the bottom gusset and our zipper gusset. We're going to put right side of our outer panel to the right side of our zipper, and we're going to clip those together. Then we're going to take our lining and put it right side to the wrong side of our zipper and clip those together. And then I'm going to go down to this end. Let's go ahead and clip them. Put the right side to the wrong side of your zipper. It's going to be a little awkward to sew, but it's okay. Now we're going to take the other end of your bottom gusset, right side to right side. Let's go to the sewing machine, and at 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're going to sew these ends right here. Alright, with a 3 stitch length, we're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And go down the other end and do the same thing. Alright, so you're going to want to take your outer panel and make it go out. We're going to go ahead and clip our bottom lining and our bottom outer together. And we're going to sew an 1/8 inch on each side just to sew them together, or base stitch the sides together, so it'll be a little bit easier when we go to add it to the front and the back panel. So let's go back to the sewing machine. I'm going to start where my zipper gusset is, the outer part, and then just an 1/8 inch sewing down. Alright, so our gusset is all done and ready to roll. The next thing that I did was I put my side gusset, my seam, where my bottom and my top gusset match, and I made a center notch on both sides of my bottom gusset and both sides of my zipper gusset. We're going to set this aside for a minute. We're going to grab our back panel and our back lining panel. You're going to put them wrong sides together, clip them together, and then take them to the sewing machine and base stitch around them. So we're just base stitching around this 1/8 of an inch from the edge with a 4-stitch length. Alright, so our back panel is all base stitched together. We're going to set this aside, and then we're going to grab our D-ring connectors. You're going to need some double-sided tape. If you haven't already, make a line down the center. Then put a piece of 3/4 by 3 inch of Decoville light right in the center. Then we're going to take some double-sided tape and put that on top of that. You want to add the Decoville light or some sort of stabilizer to your D-ring connectors so that they'll be nice and sturdy, so that when you're using them, they don't, you know, after time, wear out. That Decoville light just gives them a little bit more life. Alright, so we're going to take the paper off. And then I know it's probably hard to see, but there is a center line underneath of there. And then I'm just going to push these sides down to the center. I'm going to do this on both, and then take you guys to the sewing machine. What we're going to be doing is sewing down one side and then back up the other to keep those closed. With a 4-stitch length, about 1/4 of an inch in, we're going to just go down one side and back up the other. Alright, we've got our D-rings ready to go, our D-ring connectors. Let's grab our D-rings and our back panel. We're going to want to fold this in half and make a center mark down on the top and on the bottom so that we know where those centers are. Alright, once you have your center mark at the top and the bottom, we're going to take our D-ring connectors and add our D-rings and then fold that in half and line up your back panel on your board. Now, you can do one of two things. You can put it on the side right here, 1 inch from the edge, or you can put it right here, 1 inch from the edge. It just depends on what you do. Now, we did add these sling pieces, so if you wanted to make a sling, you would put these triangles up here in the center, and then your D-ring connectors on either side as well. It's up to you. Today we're going to be making a book bag. But I just want to remind you, those are what those extra pieces are for. Alright, so I am going to put them on the bottom, I think. I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to base stitch these in place. So let's go do that. Alright, with a 4-stitch length, 1/8 of an inch, we're just going to base stitch those D-ring connectors on. Alright, so we've got our D-ring connectors all base stitched in. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my webbing and just put this aside for now. I'm going to grab my strap connector. What we're going to do is put it through one side, back down the other, and I'm going to give myself about 1.5 inches or so of tail, and then I'm going to clip that together. I'm going to do this for both my straps. I went ahead with a 55-inch strap. So again, through one end and back down the other. And if you want, you can set your straps together and just make sure that they're the same length. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. All we're going to do is make a little square right in here to connect the two. So let's go do that. Alright, we've got our straps done. The next thing that we're going to do, the side that you flipped the webbing over to, you can see the little tail right there. We're going to take this nice and straight, not turning it at all. We're going to go through our D-ring, keeping it straight, going back up through the side where we flipped it over, through one side, and then back down the other. Then we're going to line our back panel up on our board, and then let's do 1.25 inches, or 1.5 inches. I'm going to put this about 1.5 inches away from the center. And do the same exact thing on the other side with the side that's flipped over, keeping it straight. Go through the D-ring, come back up through the strap connector, and then back down again. Measuring 1.5 inches. and clipping that in place. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to base stitch these two together. Alright, so with a 4-stitch length, we're just going to base stitch these in place. Alright, so that is base stitched in place. The next thing I'm going to do, a lot of my customers, especially with these smaller bags, want to have a handle to just kind of, when they want to pick it up quick, they can have something to grab. So I've got a 7-inch piece of webbing, and what I normally like to do is about 1 inch away from that center notch. So let's line this up again. I'm going to put that and then take this other end and then put that in place. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine real quick and then base stitch that in place. Just some of my customers, especially for the Tamagotchis, they were like, we really need a handle on these things because the bags are just kind of smaller, and yeah. If you want to, add a handle. Alright, my handle is in place, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my gusset and we're going to add our zipper gusset to our back panel. We're just going to go ahead and get that part done and over with. So we're matching up the top center notch in our zipper gusset and the top of our back panel, and then you're just going to clip it all the way around. And then we're going to take this to the sewing machine, sew them together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you will need to bind it. I know you guys don't like binding, but it's easier. Trust me, it's easier. Alright, so I'm going to fast forward through this, and then we'll go to the sewing machine. Alright, so I don't know if you saw, but I did put some clips in the corner so that I could round out that corner a little bit better. You are going to have to round out that back corner, well, the edges. The top 2 edges and the bottom 2 edges, you're going to have to round those out. Okay. We're using a 4-stitch length. I'm going to go ahead and sew at my 1/4 inch because I'm adding black waterproof canvas as my binding, and I want to be able to use black thread for that. Now that the gusset is on, I went ahead and I rounded out the corners. You're just going to have to do that. Sorry. You're going to grab some binding. And I've got 1-inch waterproof. I'm out of elastic, but guys, fold over elastic for your binding is amazing. You should give it a go. You might like it. Alright, so I'm just going to fold it in half, cut it at an angle, fold it over, and then start clipping it all the way around the edge of my bag. I'm going to fast forward this, then I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, and then we can move on to the fun part of doing the front of our bag. Alright, so our back, gusset, all that stuff is out of the way. We're all done. Let's set this aside. We're going to grab our very front panel, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cut out this white space. And so I've got my X-Acto knife. You really want to try and make it one smooth motion. So I'm going to start right here and then just go all the way around. Make sure that you're on your cutting mat so you won't cut your table. Once you've got that done, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our clear vinyl piece that should be in your kit. If not, you're going to need a piece of clear vinyl that is 7.5 by 5.5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some all the way around so that it'll stick in place. And I'm going to put my double-sided tape right on the outside edge. We're going to take the paper off and then center it as best you can. Like that, and press it down. Okay, make sure it's nice and pressed down. We're going to take both of these panels, and just like we did with the original, We're going to put right sides together in our corners, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're going to sew that down. On my vinyl, I'm going to be doing the initial 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to stitch right beside it at 1/8 inch, just to make sure that I don't have any stitches kind of like showing through. So let's go do that. Alright, so I've got a 3 stitch length, and then I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just be mindful that that clear vinyl is going to want to run away. You just got to keep it in place. Alright, so that's done. The next thing that we're going to do is you're going to make sure that you remember which side is the top and which side is the bottom. Your print is facing it's directionally. So we're going to put them wrong side to wrong side, and I'm going to clip all the way around. I'm not clipping this to sew this together. I'm just clipping it to get it in place so that we can do the next step. So when we do the next step, do not sew this in place, because then you won't be able to put your pocket on. I know normally I would tell you to like base stitch this in place, but I'm just clipping it so that it's where it's supposed to be. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine. And what you're going to do is you're going to stitch 1/8 inch on this outside edge all the way around, so that our lining and our outer panel are sewn together just in the center. Don't do the outsides. Alright, so I have got a 4 stitch length, and I am sewing like right on the outside of that black edge, and then 1/8 inch when I get to the bottom. Alright, so that is all sewn in place. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our seam ripper, and as close as you can get to your stitches without accidentally cutting your stitches, that's how close you want to be. So I am just going to pick up a few threads and start picking at this until I can get my seam ripper all the way in there. Okay, you see my seam ripper is right there. You want to make sure that you don't puncture that vinyl in the front. We're just getting that lining fabric. And so I'm just going to slide it along the stitches that I made, and when I get to the corner, I'm going to have to grab some sharp scissors and go all the way to that corner. And then I'm going to start on this side and then grab my seam ripper and do that all the way around. Alright, once you do that, the next thing that you're going to want to do, you're going to have to be very, very careful. This is waterproof canvas. We've cut it. We probably see it fraying just a little bit. What I'm going to do is take my lighter and very gently go along there. I'm not going to sit in one place too long. If you sit in place too long, your clear vinyl will melt, and we don't want that. You just want to burn those little flyaways in the waterproof canvas. And there you go. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our slip pocket pieces. We're going to put them right sides together. Now, this is going to go into your bag in the direction in which I'm holding it. So your 8 inches is going to go that way, 6 inches wide. What you're going to do is you're going to sew around this, leaving a hole at the bottom so that you can turn this inside out. So let's go to the sewing machine and do that. Alright, we've got a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going all the way around, leaving ourselves a nice hole to turn this inside out with. And I've also got a 3 stitch length, and for some reason my camera is like super in my face right now. So, enjoy this. Right. Now, I've sewn that. I have cut the corners so that it'll lay nice and flat when I turn it right side out. So now you're just going to turn it right side out. Alright, take something dull and go ahead and get those corners all out. Once I get all my corners out, I'm going to take this to my ironing board and just kind of press it down. just so that it'll lay a little flatter than what it's doing right now. And then we're going to add it to our front panel. So I'm also going to make sure that I'm pressing these seams in so that they'll be right where they're supposed to be when I add them to my front panel. Alright, that's as pressed as I could get it with it being waterproof canvas, so it's going to have to work. It's as flat as it's going to be. Alright, on each side I put some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and on the very bottom where my opening is still there, I put tape across there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our panel, making sure that this is the top and this is the bottom. The opening of your pocket needs to be towards the top. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lay it down, and I need my ruler. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that this is centered, so you can pull this back and kind of make sure that it's in the middle. And then you're going to measure, hopefully you guys can see this, 2 inches up from the bottom. I'm going to remove my bottom tape first, or my bottom paper first, like that, and then remove the paper from each side and press this in place. Now, this is not going to be the easiest thing to do, but I believe in you. I believe in you. This is why I didn't want you guys to sew those together, because we're going to have to do something a little tricky Nicky. So let's take this to the sewing machine, and I'll show you guys how we're going to sew this pocket in. Alright, so we've got to get this pocket in. I've got my stitch length at a 4, and I think I'm going to move you guys. Hopefully there you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So what we're trying to achieve is we're going to sew across here, here, and then back up. We're going to be doing 1/8 of an inch around this bottom piece because we want to make sure that this gets closed up. Follow me. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this front panel and just kind of pull it back and out of the way. And then we're going to start, and it's not going to be easy, y'all. We're going to start right at that corner and make sure that you back stitch. And I'm going 1/8 of an inch around, making sure that your front panel is out of the way, guys. Okay, and then pull that front panel back. Make sure that your needle is down when you go to turn it. Alright. Continue on up to the top. Alright, so what I went and grabbed is our little lenticular card. And then I grabbed my little ruler. What we're going to do is we're going to give this guy a dry fit. So you're going to slip him in through the top and then push him down until he's comfortable. And that seems about right. Is he getting caught or is he good? Okay, perfect. Alright, he should be, the key word there is, he should be perfect at where we sewed it. If he's not, and he falls a little bit lower, maybe you didn't place it right, something happened, okay? If he's not in the right place, you can always kind of mark where he needs to be, and then sew again, push your front panel forward, and then sew again. Right now I can tell he's right there, so he's absolutely perfect right where he's at. So if you did that measurement, hopefully he's straight. If he's not, you know, sew up a little bit higher if he's gone down too far. Okay, that part's done. Let's take him out of there. Next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to clip your outer and your lining panels together and then base stitch those together, and we're almost done, guys. Alright, so I clipped them all together and I wanted to show you guys these corners. So the outer corner I have facing one direction and the lining corner I have facing the opposite direction, so that they'll butterfly seam together and won't be one big thick seam for me to have to run over. Just in case I need to tell you guys that. Alright, With a 4 stitch length, I'm going to go around 1/8 of an inch and base stitch these 2 panels together. Alright, that's all good. What you need to do is on the top and the bottom, you need to put those corners together, find the center, and make a notch. Make a notch on both the top and on the bottom so that we can match up our gusset. Now we're going to grab our gusset and we're going to make sure that we're putting our top with our top and our bottom with our bottom. Otherwise, you're going to have to take it out and you're going to be mad at me. So let's just make sure, because we want our slip pocket to be in the right direction. Alright, start matching up your notches. You are going to have to clip the gusset on the bottom and the top just to make everything fit like it's supposed to. It is a tight fit, y'all. But go ahead, I'm going to clip all the way around, and then I'll go to my sewing machine and I'll go ahead and 1/4 of an inch and sew them together. Alright, using a 4 stitch length and 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, let's go ahead and sew these 2 together. Alright, we're all attached. We're on the last step. Woo! Alright, we need some binding. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through me putting this on and then sewing it again. You're just going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And that way it's attached, and then we're going to turn it inside out and you will have your really, really cool bag. Longer. Alright, we've got 4 stitch length at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, all our bindings are on there. Let's open these zippers up. If you want to, just kind of make a fist and put it into the bottom of your bag to kind of push that bottom into. And this one's a lot easier to turn because the zipper gusset is so big, she says, as she struggles to get it turned right side out. Alright, now that it's turned inside out, let's grab Sirius, or our Sirius lookalike, and put him in, and there he is, the man of the hour. Hopefully you guys can see it. I know my light's probably messing with stuff, but anyway. Alright, you're all done. Very cool looking on the inside. Got yourself a cool book bag to wear around. And it's a pretty fast sew, you guys. Like, I made one on its own, and it took me maybe like an hour, maybe. Alright guys, so what did you think? I hope you like this one. It is a very, very fast sew, and I was so appreciative that this one was a fast one that I had to do a video for because I have been so busy. If you guys don't know, I make patterns besides my patterns for K&A, and I will leave those linked down below so that you guys can see them, but I have been extremely, extremely busy doing those. I am going to try and get the written directions done for this, but I am not promising anything because I have been a busy girl and there are so many ideas. There's one right behind me that you can't see all the way, but sneaky peeks. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any of that and you don't miss that pattern because it's really cool. I've had a lot of people dying over it, but anyway, make sure that you check out all of the links below in the description because there is still merch available. That's a great way for you guys to support the channel and you get something tangible in return. I hope you guys like the t-shirts. Give them a look. Make sure you check them out. Go on my website. Check out the patterns on there. So make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe so that you won't miss all of the cool stuff coming out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I do check those daily. Thanks for joining us on Faith Works Designs. Bye guys.